Charging an EV is the most important part of EV ownership, whether you can luckily charge at home with a reduced rate overnight or even at work for free. Unfortunately, not everyone has this access and they rely on the growing UK public charging network. This is the UK Charging Tour, a video series where I travel around the UK looking at what current charging infrastructure is like. We look at different operators, how easy they are to use, the speed, the price, and whether it's a site you should visit or avoid. All just to answer whether the UK network is ready for full EV adoption. In the last video we had a look at Liverpool city centre and we had a look at various chargers around the city region. If you've not checked that video, look at the playlist linked below for the full charging tour. This week we're in Chester, a cathedral city in Cheshire just below Liverpool, situated on the River Dee, known for its Roman walls and its Tudor style timber buildings. We visit 3 sites across the town where one operator I've not seen before. So if that sounds good, join me on Ben Goes Electric. So let's get right into it with our first location today in Chester. So in case you're new here, all the sites we look at are above 100 kilowatts, so these are the ultra rapid chargers and we don't focus on anything smaller. So our first location is in Saltney, which is just southwest of Chester, and it's brought me to a Farm Foods car park just outside of Chester. But there are some chargers here, let's have a look. So before we look into the actual site, these chargers are by a new operator for the series, Elektra. So who are they? So Elektra is quite a new competitor to the market, formed only a couple of years ago, operating only 6 sites across the UK, some in Newcastle, down in Cheltenham, Blackpool, Manchester, Preston and this one in Chester. They use 2 types of chargers, with fast ones operating up to 50 kilowatts and ultra rapid chargers up to 300 kilowatts, and they also charge a flat rate of 80p a kilowatt hour. So enough with that, let's have a look at this site down in Chester. So these Elektra units, we have 3 individual units here, but they are dual bay, so giving 6 charger spots with a max speed of 300 kilowatts, which is great to see. It's quite rare for an in-town charger to be to that speed. These are the hyper power charger units that you see quite a lot. Shell use them and EV Power also use them as well, so they do share power. So obviously if one stall is in use, make sure you use another one to get that full 300 kilowatts. These have been configured with CCS2 only, so no CHAdeMO sadly, and the only issue really is they charge 80p a kilowatt hour, which is on the high end of UK charging networks. When looking at the actual site, so the bays are clearly marked with EV charging only. I mean, they are getting a little bit tired and there is no lighting or shelter from the elements though, so they are just out in the open. I think also due to the size of the car park, these spaces might be frequently blocked by internal combustion cars as well, meaning you can't use them. So it's the St David Retail Park as mentioned. It's quite a small one, only has the Farm Foods and Able World, which is a place for mobility scooters. But obviously this place could get busy like mentioned. And lastly, amenities, like I said, it's just these 2 places. So there's no toilets or any place really to get hot food, so it's just for a quick charge and go. So yeah, these chargers, Elektra, I think they're pronounced. Not seen them before, so new network for me. Obviously located just in a Farm Foods car park. Amenities aren't going to be the greatest, but they are 300 kilowatts. So ultra rapid charging at its finest, so you're not going to be here for long. So it's not going to be the one you're having a toilet stop or anything. Biggest issue is though 80p a kilowatt hour. Very expensive. It's hard to recommend to use them, but they're in the area, it's adding capacity, so it's not the end of the world, but prices definitely, again, as I speak a lot, need to come down. The only other issue is the car park here is quite small. So if Farm Foods, I don't know, if it gets busy, I can see this being iced, so blocked by internal combustion cars, meaning that if you need to use them, they might be blocked. And again, no way of knowing that unless you turn up. So who knows, but we'll move on to the next one and let's see what else Chester has to offer for rapid EV charging. Let's go. So that was the Elektra Charger. It was great to see more infrastructure being added to Chester. So let's move on now. So let's head on to the North Wales Expressway all the way around to the southeast of Chester, just outside near a town called Roton. And this time it brings us to a petrol station. Now hold on, yeah, I know, electric car, petrol station, don't mix. But there are, again, chargers here. So we've got EV Power here, so let's have a look at the EV Power chargers here in Chester. So just off the main road, the A41 is an Esso petrol station. And as you can see, right at the back is the EV Power via MFG. So we just have to drive all the way around just because the tanker has blocked off the access. So we covered EV Power by MFG in part 2 of the series. If you've not seen that, you can click in the top right of the video to watch that. But they are basically Motor Fuel Group's EV charging subsidiary. So you'll find these sites at most of their owned petrol forecourts. So let's look at the specs. So these look very similar to the first site we looked at. So we've got 3 individual charger units here, but are dual bay. So we have a total of 6 chargers running at a max speed of 300 kilowatts. Of course, these are shared between the two, and there's no restrictions here at all, and it's CCS2 only. But a price of 79p a kilowatt hour, so a penny cheaper, but still on the high end of charging here in the UK. One thing that EV Power does very well is branding. I love the bright colours that they use, and everything around is in that EV Power colour scheme. They've got banners on the walls, and even the bins are branded with the EV Power. So it just creates a lovely place to stop and charge. Another thing that EV Power do very well is the accessibility of the site. All the spaces are nicely spaced out, and it's a nice flat floor to reach the charger as well. And one thing, just like they do with the fuel station, you can actually get assistance, so you can actually have someone come out and plug the car in for you. It's great to see. You don't really see that reported a lot, but it's obviously quite important for people who can't charge the car themselves. Sadly, no shelter here, but it is lit up very well. It's just funny to see, obviously the fuel forecourt is covered, but then the chargers are actually in the open. So let's plug in and charge, and let's see how easy it is or not to use. So to start, the hypercharger units are great, big screen and physical buttons, but as you can see, a bit slow to look at the instructions to see if I need to plug in first or tap your card first. But obviously it says there to tap your bank card to begin. But I found that wasn't the case and it wouldn't actually work, so I decided to actually plug the car in first. Cables are quite heavy and obviously need a bit of force to get out. But let's plug that in. A bit difficult to do this one-handed, of course. And then we'll head back to the actual machine to see what's needed next. So next you choose your method of payment and then press continue and then tap your card on the reader. So you can see it tells you the price on the screen, and then it will say it's going to charge you £45 pre-authorization charge. It's just a hold, and once obviously your charging's done you can get that back. And then simple as that, and then it'll tell you it's going to prepare for charging. So I've kept this real speed just so you can see how long it actually takes to start the charging session. And there you go. So we're on 46% and it's charging at around 90 kilowatts, which is standard for this high percent of battery charge. So this is the perfect time to go and have a look at the amenities here. Of course, this is just a petrol station, but it does have a Londis, and inside is a toilet. So if you do need the toilet while you're charging, you do have that option. And of course, importantly, it also does have a coffee machine. So I just grabbed myself a quick coffee before I headed back to the car and to stop charging to see how much I gained in that short period of time. You can also see here that they are shared units. So if someone else plugs in, they're only going to get 160 kilowatts. So that's me done, so let's finish the session and go. Went up to 61%, so I just thought select CCS and then there's the stop button, so you can see the total price there, £10.77. And again it asks you, are you happy to stop charging? You press confirm, and then it tells you obviously put your card on the machine to stop charging, which I did, but it didn't actually do anything. I tried again and still nothing. The car was continuing to charge and obviously the cable was locked into place. No matter how much I tried to do this over and over again, nothing would obviously allow this to stop charging, which is a bit concerning. Obviously your car's locked in, as you can see it kind of just spins and doesn't actually do anything. So there's nothing I could actually do on the actual charger unit to stop the car from charging. So in the end I had to actually stop the charging and unlock the port from the car's end using my app, which is obviously not the correct way to do it. So it's just a bit annoying and sad to see that the charger was playing up a little bit, and that clearly needs to be looked at. When you do finally stop charging, it does give you a breakdown of how much you've charged by, even the average speed, the state of charge and the actual final cost as well, which is nice to see all that information on a screen. So that was the EV Power by MFG. What did I think about the charger and the location? Price, 79p a kilowatt hour, again on the pricier side. 1 penny cheaper than the last one though. The exact same charger units, so I've used these ones. Not the greatest experience, so a few times the instructions are a bit confusing, whether to tap your card on first or plug it in. The card reader, I don't know if just the one I used was a little bit temperamental, especially when coming to stop the charging, which it says tap your card after you press the stop buttons. Didn't work, so I had to come into my car app and stop the charging from the car end. So £11.70, and it took me up to 63%. Not the greatest, but that's the life of EV charging mostly at the moment, high prices. It's got a Londis, so got a coffee, and there is a toilet in there you can use if you need it. So again, not a place you really want to stay for a long time, but obviously them being 300 kilowatts, but shared power, you won't be here for long, just a nice quick top up charge. So let's head to our final stop in Chester, which is the services. So leaving those chargers behind, we join the A55, which then becomes the M53, and then onto the M56 to Chester services. Now yeah, I know this is a bit out of Chester, but it would be a shame not to cover this one. In the comments, let me know what you think is the best and worst charging operator in the country, and what do you think needs improving to get more people to EVs? Is it price or availability of chargers? Let me know in the comments. So we're at Chester services, just off the start of the M56, which heads all the way to Manchester. So it's quite popular services here, quite busy, but it has got an oddity that you don't really see much, but we'll probably see a lot more in the future. So usually you might have two operators. Usually it's like Gridserve and Tesla, or Instavolt and Tesla. Usually it's a Tesla as well, and usually that means it's Tesla only. But here at Chester we have Gridserve over there, but we have Shell Recharge behind me, both open to all EVs. So why have we got both? And why would you want to use one over the other? And you can see here, Gridserve full, Shell empty. And why is that? Now you might see empty chargers and think, A, either they don't work, or B, it's kind of, yeah, good, empty. Great, I'll start charging. But Shell, they charge here 89p a kilowatt hour. They're the highest in the country, very expensive. Gridserve, slightly cheaper, 85p if using contactless, or down to 79 if you're using their app. So you can save a decent bit of money by just going a couple of meters over there. Talking about Shell, so we have, obviously there's 3 of these hypercharger units, obviously dual bay shared power up to 300 kilowatt hours. You've got dual CTS at both of them, and you've also got CHAdeMO in the middle, so a good option. Obviously if you've got the Nissan Leafs, of course, or older electric cars, but like I said, 85p a kilowatt hour, sorry, 89p a kilowatt hour. So like most people are doing, and they're smart enough to know, avoid, unless obviously Gridserve over there is full. Branding, obviously standard Shell Recharge branding. All the spaces are marked off with bigger gaps in between, so you've got a bit more space to get out, plug your cable in, etc. There is an accessible spot at the end. It's not a charging spot directly, but charging will reach to that spot. You've obviously got Shell right over there, but you don't need to visit that Shell at all. Obviously these are independent, contactless payments are supported. You do see some people use these chargers, and you think why? Usually people have got like say fuel cards or charging cards, so they get a cheaper rate or even free charging. So you might see people using here, they're not complete, I say idiots for using a more expensive charger, they might just get cheaper charging. Here you can see both companies trying to compete against each other with signage. You've got Gridserve over there showing where their high power chargers are, obviously just behind me, and where their medium power chargers are as well. Obviously Shell here also advertising their speed up to 300 kilowatts, but Gridserve 350, so they've also got people on speed with an advertisement board just on the way as well. So then just behind me we've got the Gridserve units just a couple of meters from the Shell recharge. So we've got 85p a kilowatt hour if using contactless here, or if you want to use the app that goes down to 75p, which again is why everyone is using these ones over the Shell ones, to save money. Why wouldn't you? That's the thing to do. So these are their standard 350 kilowatt single bay units, so no shared power here, so you should get the full rate, especially if you have something like an LG e-tron or a Kia EV6 or even a Porsche Taycan. So mostly CCS, but there are some CHAdeMO here, again, if you require the older standard of charger. Nice and clear markings the Gridserve standard way, with blue for your standard bays, and up at the top we have green for the more accessible bays, which again is always good to see. Quite accessible, you've got bins, good branding, so your standard charging experience here for Gridserve. One of the things most people say is, well, obviously is it any better because where's the electricity coming from? You know, what's the point of an electric car if it's coming from dirty power sources? Well, here, as you can see above me, solar and little wind turbines. You've got a few of them dotted around, there's one there and there's one over there. Obviously not completely supplying the electricity here, but obviously trying to get that net zero energy and more carbon friendly options, making EV driving a lot cleaner and hopefully in the future cheaper. And so when it comes to capacity here at Chester, obviously you've got the 6 Shell recharge, you've then got 12 Gridserve high power units, and then over there you've got their medium power older 50 kilowatt units. So 2 of them dual bay, obviously giving a total capacity of 20 chargers here for people to use. And lastly, something we don't cover a lot here are more slower chargers. So we've got a hotel here, got a Super 8 hotel, and they have kind of slower charging here, so you can charge it overnight as well. Even guaranteed overnight charging when you add it to your hotel booking for their best rates, but they are powered by Gridserve. And obviously marked clearly, but are still getting blocked by ICE cars, sadly. So that is the Chester Services charging infrastructure. So like I said, it's a bit of a strange one with obviously competing companies right next to each other. And as you can see, one is popular, one is not. And that's entirely down to price. Why pay an extra 4p per kilowatt hour? Look at petrol stations, we had 2 next to each other and one was 4p a litre cheaper. Who's going to win? Of course, the cheaper one. And it's exactly the same with charging. Number of chargers though, a lot is getting better. Obviously you've got a total of 20, obviously different powers, which obviously 12 plus 6 is 18 of them are obviously high power 300 kilowatts plus, which is good for a quick charge and go. And obviously normal services, amenities here, you've got toilets obviously, and you've got food, you've got McDonald's drive-through, and there's a hotel, and obviously that's even got charging. So if you're here overnight, you can charge a little bit cheaper and obviously slower overnight. But I might sound like a broken record, but again, the issue, as all of these videos have been, is the pricing. Really, other than the odd few other CPOs, and obviously Tesla are a lot cheaper. That's the thing. So some can offer a lot cheaper charging, but the two names that come up a lot due to their expensive charging is Gridserve and Shell, who are both here at Chester. So hopefully prices will come down, whether that's in a government incentive or the actual companies are obviously just charging more than they need and people are just going to start refusing to use them because they're too expensive. But pricing needs to come down to get people to swap over to EVs. That is what is the blocker for most people. It's the cost. Why pay £60 to fill up here for 250 miles when you can fill up your car at the Shell across there for about 50 quid and you're getting 500 miles? Obviously, charging at home is a solution, but not everybody can do that at the moment. There are ways coming to allow more people to charge at home, get those ultra low charging rates. But long journeys, especially, and people who need them, public charging and public rapid charging is needed, and obviously still needs to be expanded. So hopefully the price will come down in due course. So that was another EV charging tour in the UK, obviously here in Chester, obviously focusing on the more ultra rapid chargers above 100 kilowatts. Obviously there are more chargers that are slower, but we're looking at those quick chargers to, as we call, zap and go. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the video. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts are about the charging infrastructure, either here in Tesla or even in your own area, and where should I visit next. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for the next one so you don't miss out. And again, I will see you on the next video. Bye bye for now.